Maya Ellison sat at the court reporter desk when Senator William Whitmore entered the Richmond courtroom, smiling for cameras. She was only supposed to read the record, but one hidden sentence flashed on her transcript in red ink. If Whitmore signs, the families lose their homes by Friday. Her hands froze above the stenotype. That line had vanished from every public file about the housing scandal that destroyed her mother's career. Then the senator looked straight at her, and his face went completely pale. When Maya found the old audio backup, she realized one sentence could bring down everything he built. Some truths do not enter a courtroom through the witness stand. They hide inside one sentence no one wants read aloud. Maya Ellison sat at the court reporter desk in the Richmond courthouse, her fingers resting above the stenotype as rain tapped against the tall windows. The hearing was supposed to close an old housing scandal before Senator William Whitmore announced his run for governor. Cameras lined the back wall, lawyers filled the front row, and the powerful white senator smiled like a man already forgiven. Maya kept her eyes on the transcript, recording every word with practiced calm. Then an archived line flashed on her screen in red. If Whitmore signs, the families lose their homes by Friday. Maya's hands froze. For 1 second, the courtroom kept moving without her. Judge Evelyn Cross adjusted her glasses. Harold Pierce leaned toward the senator with a practiced smile. Reporters whispered near the back wall, waiting for the hearing to become another clean political performance. But Maya saw what no one else saw. The sentence was not typed like a note or mistake. It carried an old court seal, a speaker code, and a timestamp from the original Whitmore Housing Fund hearing. The public record had always said the senator never knew families would be displaced. This line said the warning came before his signature. Maya slowly looked up. Senator Whitmore was staring straight at her screen, and the color drained from his face. Maya Ellison had spent 6 years learning how silence sounded in a courthouse. It sounded like rich men clearing their throats before poor people lost apartments. It sounded like files stamped closed while families packed bedrooms into cardboard boxes. She was a black court reporter from the south side of Richmond, raised by a mother who once worked in this same building before one missing transcript ended her career. Now her mother needed medication, her younger brother was fighting through law school, and Maya paid every bill by typing other people's truth with perfect accuracy. She had one rule: the record did not belong to the powerful. It belonged to whoever was brave enough to say what happened. Senator William Whitmore had built his life on polished rooms and controlled applause. 3 generations of his family had held office in Virginia, and every campaign poster showed him standing beside teachers, veterans, and smiling homeowners. By noon, he was supposed to walk from this hearing into a press conference and announce his run for governor as the man who had protected working families. The Whitmore Housing Fund scandal was meant to end today with a clean statement and a closed file. Harold Pierce had promised there were no surprises left. But Maya saw the senator's jaw tighten when the hidden sentence appeared. For the first time all morning, William Whitmore did not look like a public servant. He looked like a man recognizing a buried mistake. Judge Cross called a short recess, and the room exhaled like everyone had been holding the same secret. Harold Pierce moved fast, closing his leather folder and stepping between Maya and the cameras. His smile stayed professional, but his voice dropped low enough that only she could hear. That line is archival noise, Miss Ellison. You will not read it, save it, or mention it in open court. Maya looked back at the screen, where the red sentence still carried its old timestamp and court seal. Noise does not come with a court seal, she said. Harold's eyes hardened. Across the room, Senator Whitmore adjusted his cuff links without looking at her, but Maya could feel his panic reaching for her desk. Maya waited until Harold returned to the senator, then slipped through the side door into the archive room behind the courtroom. The air smelled like dust, printer toner, and old paper no one powerful expected anyone to open. She searched the Whitmore Housing Fund boxes by date, matching the timestamp from her screen to a gray audio cassette sealed inside a plastic sleeve. Her pulse climbed when she found the backup log still signed by the original clerk. Then she saw a yellow sticky note pressed beneath the tape, faded but legible, written in her mother's careful hand. Do not let them cut this sentence. Maya stood perfectly still. Her mother had not lost the record. Her mother had tried to save it. Maya opened the next archive box with fingers that suddenly felt too careful for paper. Inside were tenant notices, canceled housing vouchers, and a list of families displaced after the fund was quietly redirected. Her eyes moved down the names until she found Ellison, apartment 3C, East Clay Street. She remembered being 12 years old, watching her mother pack dishes and newspaper while saying the courthouse had made a mistake. Now the record said something worse. The warning had been there before Senator Whitmore signed. Her mother had marked it, protected it, and lost her career because someone needed the sentence gone. Maya placed the sticky note beside the cassette and whispered, "You were telling the truth." Behind her, the archive door clicked open. Harold Pierce stepped inside first, closing the archive door with the soft confidence of a man used to private rooms deciding public truth. Senator Whitmore stood behind him, his campaign smile gone. Harold looked at the cassette, the sticky note, and the list of families on the table. "Miss Ellison, sealed material does not become evidence because it feels personal." Then he placed a folder beside her hand. Inside were promises that made her chest tighten. Her mother's medical bills paid in full, her brother's law school covered, and a federal position waiting after the election. Senator Whitmore finally spoke, low and polished. "Call it a stenotype error, Maya. No one has to lose today." Maya looked at her mother's handwriting. Maya stared at the folder long enough to see every life it could repair. Her mother could sleep without counting pills. Her brother could finish law school without working nights at the grocery store. The apartment could finally stop feeling one missed payment away from disappearing. For one dangerous moment, silence looked like mercy. Then Maya touched the sticky note, and the paper felt warmer than money. She remembered her mother coming home from the courthouse with red eyes, still saying the record matters even when people punish you for keeping it clean. Maya closed Harold's folder and slid it back across the table. "My hands typed the record," she said, lifting the cassette. "They do not bury it." Maya returned to the courtroom with the cassette in one hand and the sticky note folded inside her transcript folder. Every camera turned as she walked back to the stenotype desk, but she kept her eyes on Judge Cross. Harold Pierce rose before she could sit. He argued that sealed archive material could not be entered, that procedure mattered, that a campaign should not be damaged by an old technical confusion. Judge Cross listened, then looked at Maya's screen, the timestamp, and the court seal attached to the missing line. "Miss Ellison," she said, her voice cutting through the room. "Is this part of the official backup record?" Maya swallowed once. "Yes, Your Honor." The judge leaned forward. "Then read the full line." Maya placed both hands on the stenotype, but for the first time that day, she did not type. She read, "If Whitmore signs, the families lose their homes by Friday." The sentence landed harder than any accusation because it sounded exactly like what it was, a warning ignored by a man who later claimed he never knew. The courtroom went so still that the rain against the windows seemed loud. A reporter lowered her phone. A clerk stopped breathing for a moment. In the second row, an older woman covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. Senator Whitmore's polished face lost all color. Maya looked from the transcript to him and realized the truth had finally found its voice. Maya lifted the cassette, and Judge Cross ordered the courtroom technician to play the backup through the speakers. A scratch of old audio filled the room, then the witness. Voice emerged, faint but clear, repeating the same warning Maya had just read. Harold Pierce tried to object, but the judge raised one hand without looking at him. From the back row, a retired clerk slowly stood, his courthouse badge hanging from an old lanyard. "Her mother brought that line to me," he said. "She did not lose the record. She was blamed for protecting it." Senator Whitmore stared at the table as cameras captured every second. Judge Cross closed the folder and ordered the entire housing fund case reopened immediately. Months later, the courthouse training room held a small glass frame beside Maya's stenotype. Inside was her mother's yellow sticky note, the words still visible. "Do not let them cut this sentence." The state issued a public apology to her mother, the Ellison name was cleared, and the housing fund was restored for families pushed out of their apartments years before. Senator Whitmore withdrew from the governor's race before sunset on the day the investigation report was released. Harold Pierce resigned from his firm. Maya's brother received a public interest law scholarship, and her mother walked into the courthouse again with her head high. When a new reporter asked Maya why she risked everything, she touched the stenotype and said, "Because the truth is only powerless until someone reads it aloud."